Hello there, lovely people. It's Alex from Nintendo Life here, and today it's time for us to review 2 Point Hospital on the Nintendo Switch. This review was originally written by the lovely Lloyd Coombs and has been adapted for video by me. But anyway, that's more than enough waffling. Let's dive right into things. Harkening back to the quote-unquote good old days of Theme Hospital from Bullfrog in the 90s, 2 Point Hospital wraps the same irreverent humor into a modern game that introduces a whole new generation to the joys of medicine or medicine-like gameplay. This is a game about managing expectations as well as it is about managing medical staff. Patients have to be treated and healed, staff expect to earn pay rises, and health inspectors expect not to come in and shut the whole operation down. In practice, it boils down to building a hospital and trying to basically just keep the lights on, and as an added bonus, maybe keep a few patients alive. Nothing says this more than the fact that you can get an award each year for not killing any patients, and it is probably the hardest one to get. In this privatized healthcare system, players earn money and a coveted 3-star rating by keeping patients, staff, health inspectors, and most importantly, your bank balance happy. Get it wrong though, and you'll find yourself sacking staff, surrounded by litter, and having to deal with people relieving themselves in both forms in the hallway. And there's also ghosts as well, like actual, I nearly said living ghosts. It all begins with a patient's journey. Once they've entered the hospital, they'll need to be greeted by a receptionist before waiting to see a general practitioner, or GP. They'll receive a diagnosis, or more to the point, usually a partial diagnosis, and may well need to be referred to other diagnosis rooms, and then they'll need to go to either the pharmacy or the ward or any other number of treatment rooms, depending on what it is that ails them. Part of the fun of 2 Point Hospital is spotting bottlenecks in this flowchart and making changes to alleviate them, be that through hiring extra staff, building extra facilities, or sometimes even just moving facilities so that people aren't walking quite as far and spending too much time in the hospital and dying due to losing health, and that's the thing I still can't do properly. Naturally, there are of course other considerations to take into account as well. For example, if one part of the hospital is too cold, patients are going to end up getting unhappy, and the same thing happens if they're too hot. So whilst the earlier hospitals are a very lovely moderate climate, later ones will be cold and even too hot, so you'll have to build radiators or air conditioners, and the whole thing just keeps going. They'll also need food, drink, a place to sit down. I mean, considering the prices they're paying, they should expect that kind of thing, but not in my hospital, bub. And whilst it's not strictly necessary, you can also improve the hospital and your patients' feelings overall by putting up posters and plants and other bits of bobs just to make the whole place look nicer and make everyone just a little bit happier in their brain. And let us just say that even when you're many hours in, we kind of feel like you can never have too many janitors until they start costing too much money and you have to fire them. As well as normal money, you're also going to be able to get your hands on some what's called kudosh, which is don't worry when I say this, a premium in-game currency, and when I say that, there are no microtransactions, don't worry. Normal money's used to run hospitals and pay staff, whilst kudosh is used to unlock new items, which is really good fun. You know, you can get purple benches and other things that are actually useful. The ways to get your hands on kudosh are absolutely innumerable. There are some things like staff will ask you to do various tasks like get a level 4 ward or something like that, and they will reward you with a small amount of kudosh. And also, you know, getting things like various star ratings on hospitals will also unlock you some delicious kudosh to spend as you see fit. Then there are also emergency patients, which are sent in small groups to make use of your facilities and carry an extra financial reward, provided you're actually able to heal them successfully. Whilst the game lets you move from one hospital to the next once you've developed it into a well-oiled healthcare machine, no hospital in the game is ever truly done, only really abandoned. There are always new opportunities to earn more money, to diagnose new illnesses, and even extend the hospital hospital itself over the surrounding areas. When you do decide to eventually move on, you'll find fresh challenges abound. Some cash-strapped hospitals rely on cheaper doctors that aren't necessarily as capable, whilst others may be suffering an epidemic of an illness that's expensive to treat, which makes development of new technology a priority. A particular favorite of mine, that's Alex, is a university hospital where it's essentially a teaching hospital, and therefore you can only hire doctors and nurses that are at the very lowest rank, which means you've got to train them in everything, and that was stressful but so wonderful. There's always something going on with a great rhythm to proceedings, meaning you never feel like you're entirely prepared for what's around the corner. There are always things you can't plan for, like a new illness or a sudden just batch of people who all need to go to the ward for some reason, and even things like earthquakes, but these never feel as seismic as they could, pun intended. That said, if a tremor did lead to the deaths of dozens of people, that might have somewhat gone against the irreverent nature of the game. I don't know, maybe they could have made earthquakes funny. The beating heart, again, pun intended, of 2 Point Hospital is its comedy, and it permeates every single aspect of the game. From staff names like Dr. Explosion or Ms. Chatterbox the Receptionist, to staff attributes that range from those that inform gameplay, for example, a member of staff with the green fingers trait will water plants around them, and that is so bloody handy because the plants are always dying, to ridiculous statements that really don't impact the gameplay, like owns a crossbow or assumes every party is fancy dress. I like that one. The staff in these games really feel like they have their own real personalities, and the fact that it affects their work as well makes it something you really need to pay attention to. And it's all backed up by lift-worthy music interspersed with sardonic DJs that complain about gravy allergies and the way they enjoy collecting traffic cones. 2 Point Hospital really nails the humor. And then there are the illnesses, each with their own required treatments and ranging from the chortle-worthy to the hilarious in the sort of typical dad joke kind of way. Lightheadedness leaves patients walking around with a light bulb for a head, whilst Mogstar turns them into a pseudo-Freddie Mercury until a psychiatrist can fix them up proper. Each new illness feels like a reward in and of itself, with bogwarts sounding particularly uncomfortable. It's all fun and games until somebody gets hurt, of course, and if a patient dies on the premises, you'll have to deal with a spooky ghost haunting the hallways, causing chaos and dropping gloopy ectoplasm everywhere, and I mean everywhere. That is, until you can get a janitor with the right qualification to be able to hoover up the undead, Ghostbusters, or more specifically, Luigi's Mansion style. None of this would be much fun though if the game didn't control well, and in moving from the PC to the Switch, the game has lost none of its intuitive use of screen space. A handy tabbed menu in the bottom left-hand corner is your best friend and ally, allowing you to build, hire, and manage everything else with just a couple of button presses. Text is also impressively legible in handheld mode and on the Switch Lite, but when playing undocked it can feel a little tricky to locate and select an individual patient or member of staff unless you just pause the game. Luckily, a list of everyone in the hospital can be found in the aforementioned menu screen, so you can still pluck a member of staff from the break room and put them back to work if you think they're not working hard enough, which they never are. It's clear 2 Point Studios has taken its time when it comes to adapting this game to Switch, and the hard work has paid off dividends. Add in the fact that 2 of the 3 DLC packs are included gratis, and you're looking at what is possibly the definitive iteration of the game, sans that third DLC pack. What's more, just being able to take your hospitals on the road is a real boon that even existing fans of the game will truly appreciate. In terms of presentation, the frame rate can dip at times when there's an awful lot on screen at once, but it's not something that really impacted our enjoyment at all. Visually, the Switch version is also very close to the editions seen elsewhere, which isn't at all that surprising considering 2 Point Hospital is hardly a graphical powerhouse. Still, it's nice to see some parity with the other editions in this area, and if you've yet to experience the game on any system, the Switch version should probably be your number one choice, provided you've got a Switch, which I hope you do. The highest praise we can give 2 Point Hospital is that it feels almost impossible not to have fun with it. It's zanier than an episode of Scrubs and shot through with some of the most satisfying sim gameplay of any title this generation. It may be heavily inspired by games that came before it, but in truth, it feels like a natural evolution of Bullfrog's original title, surpassing it in so many ways and is an endlessly enjoyable addition to the Switch's third-party library. It's also arguably the best version of the game so far, given its visual similarity to the other versions, and being able to carry the experience around with you, which makes it even more appealing and addictive. You've made it to the end. That means it's time for Alex's personal thoughts. Oh boy. I was really excited for 2 Point Hospital when it was announced for Switch. You know, I know I could have bought it on another platform. Well, PC. But I thought I'd hold off for the Switch version, and I'm so pleased I did, because it's such a comfy way of playing the game. I haven't played the PC version, and no doubt there'll be plenty of people that will swear by the mouse and keyboard input. But honestly, what they've done with what is this kind of, well, it's a sim game, I know, but the kind of sort of movement and pointer system, they've done supremely well. And honestly, well, I mean, one of the developers even said himself in an interview that we did, which you'll find linked in the description, you'll watch it, that he feels in some ways it's actually better than the mouse and keyboard method, just for, well, for his own reasons. He didn't go into too much detail, but I'm guessing it comes down to just a comfort thing, and it is supremely comfortable. And this game has eaten way more hours into my life than realistically it should have. In fact, I might be able to check how many hours I've put in. No, it just says first played 8 days ago. But suffice to say, honestly, I like, what was it, the last Sunday, I sat down and just sunk 4 or 5 hours into the game, just completely just passed me by, and that's, yeah, it's been a long time since a game's been able to do that, so high praise indeed. The whole game's just fun, honestly, and I keep finding myself going back to it, even though realistically I don't need to for work or anything like that. I'm just enjoying it tremendously just as a game that I enjoy, which is really good, and I don't really think there's any more praise I can give it. If you like your sim management games, don't think that this is a lesser version on the Switch. It is honestly just, it's amazingly good fun. Get it.